Pixel 9 Pro XL, 2 months later, it's been a pleasure. By the end of this video, you're going to find out why I feel like the newer Pixel 9 Pro XL has been probably the best Pixel yet, and more of a pleasure to use than before. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. You'll see right here I have the Pixel 9 Pro XL. This is the 128 gig 6.8 inch porcelain edition here, and shout outs to hashtag Team Pixel, hashtag made by Google, hashtag gift from Google. They sent this thing out for review, although I did purchase the hazel one as well, but I'm covering my porcelain edition here. This phone increased by $100, the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. You can kind of see why though. The body looks more premium than ever before. It looks top of the line, which is kind of why I think we're seeing that increase. Also, we do have a bigger battery than some older Pixels, not bigger than the Pixel 8 Pro XL. But overall, the phone generally just comes together as a package that feels a little bit higher priced than before. So 2 months later, the thing I am loving the most is the cameras. This is probably one of my top reasons about using the Pixels, and I'm going to show you why right here. So here's my Pixel Watch 2. Let's go ahead and take a look at this thing. So you just open the camera, I snap the photo, it processes, it takes a second sometimes, and it's basically a flawless shot. What I like about this more than some other phones is that this is one of those phones that you don't have to know anything about camera or photography. And most phones are kind of like that, but this one is kind of like, it kind of does the edits that you probably would want to do yourself post-production. So this kind of like camera just seems to be one of my favorite for shooting photo and video. Also, it kind of is pretty amazing how they use software optimizations as well as some post-processing to get even farther super res zoom up to 30 times. So they can do some pretty good zoom just with some post-processing on here. I quite like that. The video though, I wish there was a pro, like a pure pro video mode. We do have some features in here, and night sight is absolutely excellent. It's one of the best I've seen on any phone. In addition to that, we do have time-lapse, slow motion, and just overall a really, really great photographer's camera. I still prefer the iPhone for video, but 2 months later, I'm really just enjoying the Pixel for photography. It's like my favorite phone camera to use in this area. Let me show you a few samples I got. So here is Joaquin Ackerman, my son. He was just a brand new addition to the family just a week ago. And I took this photo while he was sleeping in night sight. And you can see, definitely, you can see that it picked up a lot of light. So that's why I'm saying the night sight is such a really good option. Also, you know, you can see he's toasty and warm right there, but overall, it's just a really, really good quality. You could see even over here on the elephants, very crisp, even though it was dark out. You can see the strap. I can kind of pick up what it was saying there. I could read all the labels, essentially. Just a very sharp camera without having to do anything. Just snap the shutter key. Here's another sample, this time of some logs at the park. I thought these were pretty neat to take a photo of because they have a lot of detail in the bark. So you'll see right there, let me go ahead and brighten that up a little bit. You can see it's even able to pick up the details right there within the tree right there. You can see definitely a lot of crisp detail. So Pixel does a good job with the post-processing, sharpening things up a bit, but I don't feel like it looks over-sharpened. It looks like a good balance. It's like the sharpness you would want to add. Even if we zoom back here, you can kind of make out what kind of cars these are back here. We got a Versa right there. We got an Outback, it looks like. Maybe that's a RAV4 right there. And then back here, Honda Civic. That looks like a Volkswagen, Ford Explorer, Ford Edge. So we can definitely make out all these vehicles back here pretty well. So this camera, I'm telling you, is top notch. Now this butterfly, I took this shot at the park. You know you can't get that close to butterflies. They're very sensitive to noise and they will move very quickly unless you're extremely chill, extremely calm. And you'll see right here, the detail I was able to get on the 5x zoom was incredible. I mean, look at this. This is kind of detail you would get on some DSLR type cameras back in the day, as well as some maybe certain mirrorless or even fixed lens cameras that had a long zoom. Over here now, you'll see the Pixel and other phones like this can produce results like this, but look at the difference in the color. It was able to produce that color pretty accurately, crisp on, look at this. I mean, look at the detail right there. I love it. I just love how crisp it is. And the edges are pretty smooth around the butterfly's wings. you'll see pretty darn smooth. So overall, Pixel 9 Pro XL, man, I love having this camera on me wherever I go. It's literally like having a little, perfect little DSLR camera without having to do the work that you need to do to get the manual settings correct on a DSLR. And you could see we also have very capable video as well on here. This was 4K at 60. I mean, really good dynamic range overall, very good color accuracy. It's not like oversaturated, but that's kind of how the reality looked. Maybe it was slightly brighter. But overall, I'm very happy with the results I get with video on here. So I do think the Pixel's camera has been one of my favorite. It's still one of my favorites to use. I also like that it has its own unique camera bar. It really stands out as its own unique phone. And then we do have the punch hole camera, which is not super large. Still would love to see an under the screen camera on pretty much all phones in the future. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is AI. This phone already feels ahead of the competitors with this area. They have the Gemini key right here, which you do have to set up. By default, it's the Google search, but they do ask if you want to use the Gemini, which I definitely am going to use. It's an AI feature that you should use on here if you're going to buy this phone. It's like one of the main things about this phone. Also, you do have the Pixel Studio, which can allow you to make different, AI generated wallpapers and AI generated pictures. Halloween theme going. We just recently passed up Halloween, so that's pretty fun. And while I don't think this is like life changing for a lot of people just yet, it's still fun, and it definitely separates this from some of the older Pixel phones as well as some of the other phones on the market. It really does pull it ahead. Also, circle to search right here. So if you want to circle to search something right there. So right there, I circled some icons, but if I circle to search right here, and then I circle this, it's going to know that I'm looking for Google Chrome. So circle to search can be an amazing game-changing feature for you if you haven't had to use it yet. And also the ability to go in through the screenshots and stuff like that. And there's much, much more. I was just brushing the surface. I put those there. We also have Google Lens. You can use ChatGPT on basically any phone these days. But we have the Google Lens right there, which can visually pick up using AI what you're taking a picture of and give you tons of information. Also, the AI is integrated across the ecosystem on here as well as into the camera when taking photos and Magic. I mean, it's all here. Magic Eraser, it's all here. This is my favorite Android AI phone right now. It just does so much in the AI department. Combine that with the Google experience, like the pure Google experience, it just feels like a super smart smartphone. Like some phones don't even feel like smartphones anymore compared to this one. So 2 months later, while hardware is not really the thing anymore that gets everyone excited, it's mostly software features. The hardware still matters because if you make a not good looking phone or something that's not premium, nobody's going to buy that. So they did a really good job here. It's a pleasure to hold, a pleasure to use. It's pretty heavy at 221 grams, but they have the smaller version of 9 Pro if you don't want the XL model. But it's aluminum frame while polish gives it a nice shiny look. Kind of reminds me of some older phones that used to be out. I think you know which ones I'm talking about. But definitely you'll see that this gives it a nice grip. It's flat screen. We don't have those accidental presses. Buttons are in a pretty good location. They're not super high up here, so they're in a pretty good location. We also have a SIM card tray on here, which is quite nice. And we have a speaker grill, USB-C. Then we have the 5G antenna. It looks good, man. This is one of the best looking Pixel. It's the best looking Pixel I've seen yet. But 2 months later, also the display. Very, very bright. We're looking at over 3,000 nits of brightness. That is incredibly bright here. It's actually brighter than the competitors, and we also have higher pixel density of around 484. So this is outshining the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's not outshining the S24 Ultra, but it's still a very tack-sharp display with some of the highest brightness higher than the competitors. There's also one little thing I've noticed has been a pleasure about this phone, and it's the 20:9 aspect ratio. It has a massive display, but because they didn't go 19:9, they kept it slightly more narrow. And don't get it twisted, this is not a narrow phone, but its reach is just a little more comfortable than some other 6.8-inch phones due to that aspect ratio, while still giving you a lot of space to enjoy your media. So I quite like that, and it doesn't feel small whatsoever. So I really do really like that. It's a comfortable feeling phone in terms of that area. Also, I will say that if you were looking for a Pixel phone that no longer has issues getting bright, this is going to be the one for you. You're definitely going to really like this phone quite a bit. So display has been a pleasure. Finally, some older Pixels just didn't get bright enough for me. We cannot say that anymore. 2 months later, it's been a pleasure. So I actually haven't updated to 15 because I've been hearing there's some bugs with Android 15, and the Android 14 version has been running so good on here. But I'm kind of getting impatient. I might just do it. I already downloaded the update. I just have to install it. Well, now it says I have to re-download it. I downloaded the other day, but now I have to re-download it or something. I don't know why I did that, but you'll see right here, Android 15 brings private space, it brings theft protection, better multitasking on tablets and foldables, improved navigation. I've just been a little bit cautious because I know sometimes with these early releases, you can get a lot of bugs. So let me know if it's been great for you. For now, I'm still on Android 14. At the end of the day though, Android 15 doesn't massively rehaul the software here, so it doesn't like urge me to or edge me on to like go right now, just get it right now. But I'm probably going to update it after this video because I'm kind of getting a little bit like maybe it's okay. I'm thinking like maybe I should just go for it. Let me know your thoughts on how it's been performing for you. I will say though that Google does regularly update the software for the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and they have quite a good amount of features in here. You'll see right here we do have gestures and stuff of that sort, which is quite nice. And again, nice navigation modes. While we don't have the colorful looking icons and settings, that's nice because it separates them from competitors that all have like the same looking settings icons. We also have some nice features up in here that go ahead and kind of match the shape of the camera bar, and the material UI is quite nice. In addition, everything seems kind of in sync. The only thing I really want Google to do is just kind of change the look of the software. It's been so similar for the past like 3-4 years that I just want to see a little bit, something a little bit fresh and new. It's just time. Maybe next year we get something a little bit more fresher. It's time. It's been looking the same for several years. It almost feels like I'm using the same phone over and over again from the Google software perspective. I know people say it's mature. They don't really need to change much. Yeah, but that's how it becomes boring and you no longer want to upgrade. That's one of the reasons people just keep staying with the same phone all the time, is because things aren't changing enough or exciting enough. So that's just how I feel about the software. But overall, I'm enjoying it. If you're a Google Power user, this is still my favorite phone on the market today for Google Power use. And then you have the Gemini key here. Unlike the iPhone, you get yourself a split screen, which is super useful. And Google implements a split screen in a way that I think Apple will eventually implement a split screen kind of like this, where they don't have an overabundance of pop views and all the things like that, but they'll just give you a simple split screen. I feel like that's the way Apple's going to do it when they do it, but you don't have to wait on them. You could just get a Pixel right now and go ahead and use split screen all day to your heart's content. Now, while the performance does not match nor beat the competitors, this phone is not giving you what some people have commented before and saying, oh, you're getting mid-range performance, maybe from a benchmark perspective, but you got to remember Tensor G4 is optimized for the Google Pixel and for AI, and it's designed to work on Pixel phones. So this phone actually performs nearly like a top-level phone, even with the G4, in terms of what everybody will notice day to day. You just see these YouTube reviews and you'll see, oh, it's not the fastest. That's because they're comparing benchmarks. Let's get it straight. This also has 16 gigabytes of RAM, which allows this thing to move along without any real reloads. So this thing actually feels faster than some older, flagship phones in my experience of using it. Also, it has a 120 hertz display adaptive refresh, and it's just snappy. It flies through everything. I haven't had any lag over the past couple of months, and the thing just runs well. The only time I found it to be a little slow is sometimes if it's on a cold start, you had it turned off for a while. It takes a little bit of a second to turn on, but that's kind of common amongst most phones. I will say, after using this for a few days, I don't even think about the chip. The only time I think about it is if I'm playing a game. Certain games will load a little bit slower. They're not as fast as on some other phones out there, and the phone can heat up a little bit on those heavier games. But other than that, this phone doesn't, it just flies. It flies through everything. Am I giving them an excuse? No, they still need to put a more higher end, higher benchmarking chip on the next one, but I don't think the G4 is a deal breaker for the way you're going to use a Google Pixel phone. I just simply don't think it is. So I'm not overly impressed with it, but I'm not upset with it either. The phone runs and flies through everything I need to do pretty well. So Pixels have always been pretty decent on battery life, except for a few of them. But this one right here, man, let me tell you, 5,060 milliamp hour battery in here. It's a sizable cell, but also this battery is lasting me a good long while through most of the day. Actually, not most of the day, the whole day. Why did I say most of the day? This phone is going the whole day and then some for most users. However, I do feel like topping the brightness off, 120 hertz, camera, maps, anybody can drain a phone in those scenarios. But just your daily texting, full charge from the morning throughout the day. This one has good standby. It adapts to your usage as well over time. And they have some good low power modes in here as well. I do have to say that the battery life has been impressive over my past 2 months using this phone. And like I say, it's gotten better. It starts learning how I'm using the phone. It just got better. So it's pretty good. I really like the battery life on here. It's not the most impressive phone I've seen this year, but it's definitely not a deal breaker. And it's higher. It's going to be higher battery than on these smaller pixels as well. So I quite like. So some other things that are a pleasure about this phone. We have USB-C Type 3.2. That's pretty quick to transfer. Wi-Fi 7 speed. So those are very fast as well. Bluetooth 5.3 for fast connections to things like Pixel Watches, Pixel Buds, which I also have over here, the Google Pixel Buds right here. These are the Buds Pro 2. These are also an excellent option to use with your Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. They connect very quick and they're pretty comfortable and light compared to some of the older editions. Also, this phone right here does have an under display ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, so that is very quick to respond on here. We also do have ourselves satellite SOS, SIM card support, so you don't have to only use eSIM. That's going to be a major deal for some people who are against using the eSIM only, and you know what I'm talking about. And overall, phone call quality has been pretty good. The phone call quality has been pretty good. Better reception strength than some of the older Pixels, which have historically not been great for me. And that's basically some of the extras I didn't discuss in this video. Wrapping it up though, what do I feel like they can improve going forward? Well, I like to see a faster flagship chip. I like to see a software rehaul, not just some added features. I understand that they're not always going to do that, but I just want to see kind of like a bigger change to the software. It's been a while since we've seen a huge change to the Android software. And also, I would like to see thinner bezels, as these bezels aren't the thinnest anymore. I would like to see maybe a 6.9 to 7-inch display in a format that's still manageable. And now that we're calling it the XL, that's why. I think we can go a little bit bigger. That's now that we're calling it an XL phone, because other phones have bigger screens now. But overall, it's really been a pleasure to use. This phone feels like a really good package here. It's only missing one thing, and that's not the 8 Elite Snapdragon chip, something like that. But all around, it's a pretty good phone, definitely for sure. But the only thing I think holding people back a little bit is its price. It's kind of commanding a very large price, so we get a 20-30% discount. I think you should definitely hop on this deal. It's a really good phone. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. That's my Pixel 9 Pro XL 2 months later. I'll catch you on the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.